Okay, um, this is our last section for watercolor landscapes. We're going to take a 6 week break, and then we're going to meet again. Um, and either we're going to meet in kind of August and go through September, or we might meet in September and go through, the middle of October with a new section on watercolor. And there may be a couple of classes kind of in between there, scattered in between, um, where you can just pop on and work on something and I'll help you. So whatever you want to work on. This last piece this is a landscape near where I live in Portland. Um, and your job today is going to be to sketch it following these lines, and then you get to paint it using whatever colors you want. So the only thing what's really great about this exercise is that the darks and the lights are very clear. What's also great about this exercise, this tree over here on the right, can totally get rid of it if you wanted to. It does not hurt this composition at all. And you'll notice I actually drew this lines as if I was um not putting this tree in. Lots of people like it. It takes a long time. I can tell you right now, it looks really good without it. It also looks great with it. And the main thing you're going to want to pay attention to is whatever darks you use. Um, they just have to be dark here and here, right here and here. And your lights can be any light you want, as long as it looks light next to the dark. And you'll also see, and I'm happy to walk you through some of these things if you're struggling. This area in the front is a little bit tricky because you can see little bits of white, right? Kind of light, kind of popping in through the dark, the edges of the dark. I'm going to suggest we use, just like we learned in the blue landscape, that we use gouache or white watercolor to kind of like create those edges. But you're welcome to talk to me about it, when to do what. But what I really want to see here is what you wind up doing, what you wind up picking, and what you wind up kind of going with. So, so that's the instruction today. Free reign, and I'm here to help. So don't think you can't help me. I am absolutely here to help. You can send stuff across. I'd actually like to see your sketches before you start painting. So send them over to me just so I can kind of take a look and make sure everything is in the right places. But I think you guys got this. And then tell me some thoughts. If you have thoughts, when we reconvene our class, what would you like to focus on? Animals, cities, water? Let me know. What's kind of the biggest, um, what do you call it? Desire. And we'll set that up. I'm expecting we might be able to do up to 2 more classes, like sessions, like groups of classes this year. And then we'll flip back to watercolor one, but I'll change it up so that we're not doing exactly the same thing as we did last year.
So I just have to get
And how's everybody doing? All well? How did your oh, I'm not gonna ask that on the video. Christina, I'll ask later.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nobody sees these except for all of you anyway. I don't make these public. These are on a private YouTube channel that no one can see unless they have the link. And the only people who get the link are you on the class. But um, still. Just don't say anything you wouldn't want anybody to hear.
Mm.
In any event, it made me feel, it kind of made my heart full to see the work that you all have done in the last 6 months. It's kind of blown my mind, particularly when we look at like where we started versus where we are. I I could look at that list all day long. I could look at the WhatsApp threads and just completely be entertained by everything and riveted by everything I'm looking at. So I loved it. I love it. I love what you're all doing in here, whatever you do at whatever level. And I'm so impressed. I'm just like really impressed and pleased and happy. Happy. And I hope in some way the process, whatever part of it, it's really easy to get critical about your work. I get it. I'm not telling you not to. But I hope there's some part of the processes that where you're really loving it, the process, watching your own progress, like kind of, making the things, creating the things. Last night, my studio mate and I had a big art show, and we invited a throat singer, a Tuvan throat singer, to do a performance. It was really amazing. And at the very end, he had like almost no voice left because if you've heard Tuvan throat singing, it's a Siberian, it's kind of like a chant, but you make your voice sound like a spring. It sounds like a instrumented or a didgeridoo. You kind of make your voice sound
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
didgeridoo.
know.
And so he said in the last 4 minutes, he's like, I don't know how much of my voice is left, but I'm going to give you this sound for the next 4 minutes. And it's an offering to thank you for being here tonight. Like to thank you for being in this moment, to thank you for whatever expectations you had tonight, to be really happy that we are all together here. And it was amazing. It was just, it was like, and then at the end, he said, he came off the stage that we had created for him in the studio, and he said, my voice wasn't, I just, my voice just, I wish my voice was better. And we all looked at him like, what? Like, my voice is fine. Like, you're fine. He goes, I know you guys can't tell, but I know that I know. And and he said, that's why I always do that thing at the end, because it's like, a releasing. And I remember thinking, at that time, because although I had many people look at my paintings last night, nobody bought one last night. And you could get really bummed about that, or you could go, I mean, I had three people staring in rapture at three of them, and you could be into that. Like every moment of that. Like, do you guys know what I'm saying? I'm like babbling, but it felt very important in the moment to really own that. And I loved that musically, he said, here is here's what I give to you, whatever is left. My voice box. And then he made the most incredible noises, boing, 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 and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I feel like the actual room was bouncing up and down around what he did. And I just thought it was really cool. Um, Not so, you can get very into the markety nature of this business and, and pressured and feel like, oh my God, I've got to move stuff right now. I just put, you know what I mean? Like I need to make money, yada yada, which you do, but it's also good just to see how great it is to co-create and be in that space. So it's awesome. It was really cool.
The singer sounds cool.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a kind of a crazy week for me. Can I share with you guys one more story that's a little bit out there? Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So I
Yes.
think I've told you about the Olive Rush house. My great great aunt, Olive Rush, my family has bought their house in Santa Fe. So we had on Wednesday night, I was in Santa Fe, and then I flew in Thursday to Portland for this show. That was last night. But on Wednesday night, we had this giant show where we opened the house and the garden, and we recreated, and there and the canyon road, which is where the house is, was closed off to traffic, so it was all just people walking up and down the street. And so we opened the house, and I dressed up as my great Aunt Olive Rush. I wore one of her garden hats, which we have in our archives, and I put a little sticker on my shirt that said, "My name is Olive Rush. Ask me anything." Um, and we had 500 people come through, and I thought people were going to think it was really dumb, right, and cheesy. And so I would actually say, look, I'm really her great grandniece. Like I can just talk to you about her as
Yeah.
as me. And they
Yeah.
all went, no, no, like
No, no.
act like her. So all night long I was walking around going, this is my garden and this is my house. I was 47 when I moved here, and here's how I felt. And so many people would be like, Olive, how tall are you? Like, how old were you when you died? Olive, like, what was your favorite painting? Like all night long. And
Oh my God.
it was amazing. But the most amazing part, you're gonna, I'm putting this on the recording because I actually don't care. I'm gonna just say it. So we had an aura reader, somebody who takes photographs where you can see a person's color aura around them. Uh, and
Hmm.
so at some point, I went up to her and said, what do you think my aura looks like? I mean, I'm in
Hmm.
my aunt's house and I'm wearing her clothes and I'm acting like her.
Nice.
And every time I break character, people are like, no, 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 keep going. Uh, and she said, I don't know. So she sat me down in front of the camera, and the camera is connected to a laptop so you can see what the picture is. And in a minute, she went, oh my God, what? She goes, there's always one primary color in an aura. She said, you have two.
Ooh.
One was blue and one was
Whoa.
yellow. I know.
Oh,
And
that's
like
so
people were all
cool.
standing around going, what the? And she said, you didn't look like a blue to me. You seem more like a yellow. A yellow is kind of somebody who's more outgoing, a little bit more vivacious, right? And blue is a little bit shyer and quieter, still of waters. And that's totally my aunt. And she said first one would come in and then another color would come in. They weren't battling or anything, but she said, she had never seen that happen. She had to take the picture 3 times just to try and capture it because she'd never seen that happen before. All of a sudden, there's this whole crowd of people looking at the screen going, what? What? So those are the crazy things that happened to me this week.
That's
Yeah, that's
that's
pretty good. I
so
haven't
cool.
had two auras fighting over me this week, that's for sure.
Are you sure?
Well, I haven't measured any, so maybe. That's
MC, that
amazing.
looks great. I'm going to give you one little tiny, can I pop this up a second? This looks great. This is going to be great. Can I pop up and give you one tiny, tiny little, I want to point out one extra line, which I think will help you. Here, hold on. So 99%, absolutely spot on. Um, and even if it's not exactly spot on, don't you find, I find this particular composition very inspiring. It's a little hard to see back here, but these lines actually go all the way to the horizon. Can you put a little tiny edge right here? And that'll really show your water going back rather than this skinny line. Do you see what I mean? So just a tiny little line here, right next to this one.
Okay.
And then I think you're ready to go. Do you see what I mean? It's really hard to tell because back there it's just this here, hold on. It's this undulation of like little rock and then light rock and then dark this and like little pieces of dirt, they kind of pile on top of each other. So in your mind, and this is where it helps to have our practice, right, our drawing practice, is that we do know that that water goes all the way back. And even if it's tricky to see, it's good to kind of add in, and then you can add as much or little detail. It will still read like a road going back, a river going back, perspective wise. Otherwise, I really like it. It's good.
Oh, your story reminded me how this is a project we had to do in eighth grade that my middle school was known for, and oh, it was called the Wax Museum, and we had to study a historical figure and write a report about them. And then at the end of the semester, you had to dress up as them, and then you were in the Wax Museum, so anyone could go up to you and press a button, and then you would say your little speech about with your bio.
What?
And then there were certain questions they could ask you, like I think it was like on cards, maybe you had like 5 questions you had to like memorize the answer to. But it was kind of like an AMA, and people could ask you questions about, and that was like part also like how they graded you too. It's like how well could you answer the questions about this person's biography? Actually, it may have been anything.
Who
I
were
don't know. I
you?
think
Do you remember? Who were
I
you?
was I was Louisa May Alcott, the author of Little Women.
Oh my God. Perfect. What a
Yeah, it was perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
it is. You do kind of embody somebody. You do kind of live in
yeah,
somebody, make them
yeah,
live. And
yeah,
that's kind of the idea, right? Is that
yeah.
you want to it's not just what I'm really learning about our museum and about house museums in general, which are a little different than a traditional museum. The traditional museum often shows you the final product of something, but it doesn't really show you how somebody lived as they did it. And I think for us, there's a natural curiosity as humans to see how we live and do things, like how we, how things are done. And my aunt was really, this is what I learned about her this time. um, Canyon Road is like one of the US's biggest art markets now, but in 1920 it was farms. There was no
Mhm.
galleries out there. It was considered way outside the city center. It was not, there weren't art. She was one of the first artists that went out there. And then others followed and they made this little community and all of it, it built up. I don't think any of them could have imagined what it would be, what it has become, which is this big street of galleries.
Wow.
Yeah, in LA, I think everything's a little bit more scattered, like the galleries are kind of in clumps, but
Oh, the
everywhere.
galleries are yeah, all over the
Yeah,
place.
they're everywhere. And Santa Fe is a really small town. I mean, it's not all the galleries are on Canyon Road, but
Yeah,
like the
there's like
sort
a
of serious
section.
art market is there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been
I
there.
don't know if London is like that. Does London have a kind of gallery district or are they kind of scattered everywhere? They must be scattered everywhere. London's too big. I don't know. Do you know MC? Are they like, is there like galleries everywhere?
I don't think there's galleries everywhere. I don't really know if there'd be a district for artists.
Interesting. I should look that up. I think that would be
There's
interesting.
there's like this gallerist on Instagram. She's done like walking tours of like different parts of London
Mm.
that have a cluster of galleries. So I don't know if there's like multiple clusters, but I did see one of her TikToks was like, follow me through like the, I don't know, somewhat
The cluster
neighborhood
of
of
galleries
London
is
on like
somewhere.
a walking tour or something. So
Right. I mean, we
yeah.
know about the West End, which is generally kind of all the theaters, many of the theaters clustered
Yeah.
together. And Annika, I don't know what the nearest town you're close to is, if it's a big
No, the,
town
the,
or.
at the end where I live, there's a lot of artists here, a lot of artists because of the light and everything. So there's art everywhere, and they have like an art fair all throughout May, and they send
Wow.
out maps. You can go to all the different places, all the different farms where people are sitting painting, and there's like it's amazing. It's a really really big art scene here close to Simrishamn, and the whole place is called Osterland, and it's like the south part of Sweden, and it's really there's a lot of
That's
art.
so cool.
Yeah. You
There's
can,
kind of
you
two
can,
ways. Christina, that looks great. Just keep going in that. And if you're going to use pencil, just like, start coloring in your darks and your lights. You guys are going to notice that this is the darkest part, this kind of back line here, as well as here. So whatever dark you choose, I hope, yeah, I know, by the way, I saw that everybody followed these lines, which is good. You can then use as much detail here. See how I'm kind of pointing to this little tree, which has little bits, but remember, this entire bottom area is really quite solid and dark. And then it's kind of in the top edges where you add little bits of detail using your dark, right? As much or as little as you want. So, um, that is the, and then down here, of course, we've got this kind of heavy dark. So when you're starting, it's probably best to start back here, because you can lay that out fairly simply and just choose whatever dark you want. It could be anything. Brown, purple, you could mix things. You could make a dark, the way we've made darks, our own darks, but I don't really want to influence you in any way. Like when we're close to the end of the lesson, I'll show you how the Tuesday group chose to answer this response, unless you guys would like to see it now. Would you like, I can throw it across the thread now if you'd like to see how different people did this painting. Do you want to see it, or would you rather just like see them at the end?
Yeah, at the end.
At the
How
end,
about
good. So like you're all like doing, I really want to see what everybody does without influencing no other influences, including my own. Um, so I don't want to influence you. I want you to like pick what you love. Yeah, there's kind of like two ways of doing it. Portland also has an art scene that's very scattered. There's not really one street where it's located. I noticed that it is helpful for Santa Fe that a lot of the galleries are in one location because they can group market in a very easy way, right? They all have their openings any Friday night during the tourist season. Um, it doesn't really matter, like between June and September, any Friday night, there will be openings for new work. So that's kind of a note to collectors to come out on that night to see who's open and see who's like, has a new show with new work. Uh, and it's harder when you have to do little maps, kind of showing people, hey, we're everywhere. I'm all over the place. But it's also kind of, that also, just depending on how you create it, that can also be I like the idea, Annika, that in your location, there's an art fair that happens in all of May. So people are available and a map is put out. And if you showed up there, you could just go around and find the
Yeah, you buy like
artists.
one ticket at one place, and then you can go to like 30, 40 different exhibits.
I think that's,
And
and at any time in May, basically, like
well,
kind of working
the
with,
dates are set, but it is a whole month, and
is it on
it's
the
just
weekends?
it's more on the weekends, but you can not all of them are open every day. So, but
Right,
a lot of them are,
right.
and it's amazing actually. But
We,
I didn't join it. I didn't open up my
not this year,
studio
but next year,
next
you
year.
can do it next year. We here in Portland, my studio mate and I link with something called First Thursday Art Walk. Oh, look at that. That looks great, Annika. Look at all that stuff.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
that's a lot of it is from you. So a lot of it is.
Yay. But also, but of course, primarily from you. Primarily out of your hand and your brush.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can help, but uh and that's kind of the general idea behind these classes and why I like to switch it up a little bit. We link with something called First Thursday. I'm in a general downtown area of Portland where the whole sort of downtown opens up for First Thursday and people come out sort of expecting art things and art walks. And so we always get a lot of people. But it was, cute. Last night, this couple sat and stared at like some of my work, and this guy looked at me and he said, I just don't know where to find artists. I miss art. I'm not an artist, and I don't even know, I'm glad I came out tonight because I don't even know like where to start looking. And that's why these kind of marketing things are important because that gives people who aren't on the inside of the art community, the ability to kind of enter right into studios, and it's very smart. It's a very smart marketing technique. And also a smart, like, way of communicating who is an artist and who is not. Because in the end, we know that while art is not a necessity, maybe it's not a necessity like food and water and shelter, but it really is the difference between making life good and making life amazing, um, which we all know because we do it. So even though not all parts of that process are necessarily good. Like there's frustration and all of that other part. I had a painting up in this show that was pissing me off so much, even just like 5 days ago. But when I looked at it in the show, I felt differently about it. I hated it up until I looked at it in the show. And then I was like, oh, no, no, it's not as bad as I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back tomorrow and hate it again. I have no idea. But it's like, but kind of understanding things in their context, in their time, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, showing all together. It's nice. It's kind of um I think it makes a difference in life. Let's see. Oh, yes, very nice, Annika. Very nice. I think you're in good shape. Go ahead and get going. Start coloring it in.
But I don't know. I also wonder, I mean, I think art can be very like fundamental to our learning. Like I like in terms of like, how your brain works, like because I'm learning so much by doing this. And I'm just like, oh, I feel like this is helping other, parts of my brain function. Like it's not just like, oh, am I
Absolutely
drawing
true.
a painting or not? But I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like helping me with writing and other forms of cognition. And so I wonder now, since we're moving into this AI age and they're probably going to train like little kids on how to use AI, which is scary. But
Right.
if there might be a, I don't know, maybe this is too optimistic. If there might be a renaissance in arts education because it is tangible and it's teaching you how to think in all these ways that like, an AI bot is just not going to be able to train you to think.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
and because the AI bot does the work,
Yeah.
were you, Christina, were you in art class last? I'm trying to think of, oh wait, we didn't have class last Saturday. No, did I have?
No.
Yes, last Saturday. Did I have class? I think I had class last Saturday. I can't remember. The last acrylic painting class, we had this very discussion because
Mhm.
there's a couple of professors. There's a writing professor in that class, and she
Mhm.
said they've set up a committee at her college in New Jersey to
Uh-huh.
discuss because now AI can write a C plus paper. AI is able to write a C plus paper, and so now they have to reassess, and you might be able to tell that it's AI, but like a student that's skating by, it can't write an A plus paper, but it can write a C plus paper. And so, of course, the question is, how do the professors even begin to change their requirements of what they require of students? Right.
Oh
And then
yeah.
how do you tell, right? Like if they've
Right.
done it, like she said, for her, she works with beginning writers a lot. So she's spending a lot of time with construction
Hmm.
and the like how you like put together a lead paragraph, and then
Hmm.
how do you like that sort of whole like structure of what an essay looks like, and
Yeah.
now AI can do that. So kids don't have to do that. So now they're all discussing, how do you figure out that they're doing it? How do you assign it differently so that people will understand what the actual assignment is? How
Yeah.
do you grade and value that? Make sure you don't reward people who are using AI rather than the people who are actually in their brain working really hard. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Um, it's
It's
like really weird. Yeah, it's like really weird moment.
yeah, it's well, I was seen online that some universities are asking students to get blue books now to take their tests because that's the only way that they can figure out, like, did you write this essay? You know?
Oh my God. It's like vinyl records for test taking.
I mean, I think, yeah, with AI,
That's
all
what
the
you have to do.
all the test taking now is going to have to be by hand to know if it's 100% human. Oh yeah, yeah, because this is
And
the
they
other
can
thing.
still memorize something
They
that
could still
AI
memorize
spit
stuff.
out.
They could
Yeah.
still memorize stuff, but I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a whole conversation. I do believe you're right. They've done a lot of research on kind of the aging. I can feel at 57 um, that, my brain, sometimes I kind of struggle to hold on to it, and not in a bad way, not in a dementia or a Parkinson's kind of way, but in a just a general getting older way. Sometimes I forget things. And, the brain begins to deteriorate as we get older. But the only thing that stops that is learning a new skill that
Mhm.
requires all your concentration, like drawing, like we do in class here.
Mhm.
They recommend like learning a new language or something like that, or doing I don't
Mhm.
know, puzzles like crosswords, and I don't know. But even those, I think you can get into a like you'll get to what happens is as soon as it becomes easy for your brain to do something, it doesn't use all
Yeah.
the whole neural pathway. And when it
Yeah.
stops using the whole neural pathway, but when you use the whole neural pathway that you're building, when you're building a new one to learn something which requires this concentration, frustration, like pushing up to like what you know and then gently beyond, um, they have found that all of the entire brain, all of it goes. Why they call it wiring together and firing together. The synapses
Mhm.
all are firing on all synapses because you're learning one thing.
Mhm.
Um, and because you're learning a specific thing, it's changing the patterning of the synapses and all the other things that you do. Driving, writing. It's actually literally because now you're using them, it's kind of, and they're firing with you in this new thing that you're doing in your brain. It does actually change and add to the entire, does that make sense? The entire thing that you're doing. So they
Yeah.
say to stave off like basic memory loss, like working out the muscle of your brain, just like anything else, you just have to do something hard. And thank God for us, art is no end of hard. It's always hard in art. It does
Yeah.
not matter how long you've been doing it.
Oh, it gets your gears going.
It
Yeah.
does. I was talking to an artist I met last night who has not been doing, she's a painter first, but she's been making jewelry for the last 2 years. And she
Oh.
said, I had to reintroduce myself to painting. Bree, this is painting. Painting, this is Bree. That's what she said. Like me. Welcome back to the club, right? There's this kind of uncomfortable reinitiation as you kind of re-engage.
Yeah.
Um, even if you know how to do it, and the pathway's there. If you don't use it, it kind of you have to push it back. It's like just like going running. If you
Yeah.
don't go running for 2 weeks and then you go running again, no matter how far along you are, you probably feel a little sick on your first run. So it's just really, yeah, it was funny. Bree meet painting, painting meet Bree.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, the other crazy thing that I found from watching way too much TikTok, way too many TikToks, but is so it's becoming even harder to detect whether something is AI made because with AI generated text, it does create a watermark, I guess, in the code of the text. So if you like looked at the HTML, you could see some indicators, but there are machines now that will take the watermarks out of the
Out.
code. So you run it through ChatGPT, and then you put it through one of these other softwares that will rip out all the
Clean it, that'll
watermarks.
clean it out.
It'll clean it, and then
God, that's
there's no
so
way.
fucked up.
There's no way to tell.
It's so fucked up. It's
Ugh.
really fucked up. I know you have to rethink how to learn things. I do feel here in the US, I can definitely say this is true. I don't know about other countries, but I can feel that there is a kind of desire in the younger people to go back to learning things the old way by hand.
Mhm.
Staying away from the phones, handwriting, everything from handwriting to making things to painting and drawing, like to painting and drawing. I can feel it. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
Christina. I'm assuming you can too. Like I can feel that happening. I don't know if it's happening elsewhere, but I kind of would guess it is. It feels like a very human um, reaction, a conscious reaction to try and kind of re-engage
Yeah.
things that we don't really know, older things, older knowledges. Um,
Right. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
yes, that is a one hopeful thing. I'm glad that Gen Z is actually interested in like things like CDs and dumb phones.
Not CDs. I think that was a bad middle category.
Yeah, no, see, no, vinyl's much better. I mean,
Vinyl's better.
even the millennials who are like, the vinyl is, we're collecting vinyl because we're like, this is awesome, this
I
is so
I don't think
dope.
vinyl ever truly went out of style, even though there was that brief period in the 90s,
Yeah.
80s and 90s where CDs were in. I remember somebody I knew once holding up a CD and going, "Look at that. Isn't it a beautiful thing?" Like had no idea. I mean, it's just completely obsolete now.
I remember when people would use CDs for like art, they make like ornaments or like a wall of like a collage of CDs or something. I don't know. It's very 90s Y2K. It's a little cringe. I'm like kind of like ah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The 90s was really cringe in a lot of ways. That people like call that the kind of plasticization of the
Oh my
US. I
God.
don't know.
Yeah, it really was cringe. So like when I'm seeing the Gen Zs now like wanting to wear the Y2K clothing styles, I'm like, I didn't like the
Don't
clothing
do
then.
it.
And I'm just like, oh, like you like
Don't
this
do it.
style? I'm like, ugh. It's I mean, it's not the same reaction like, oh, when I see someone wearing like a Jackie O style like vintage dress, I'm like, oh, that's like, classic, right? And then I see
Yes.
the Gen Zs dressing like Britney, and I'm like, oh
Oh,
no.
ouch. That was never good. Even
Oh,
back then, it was never
no,
good.
no, it was not good. It was not good.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, these are interesting times
yeah,
we live in.
yeah. Interesting times.
Interesting times.
Interesting times.
Interesting times. Yes.
Um, but I had to like pull out I had to find my undergraduate thesis to apply for grad school because I needed an academic writing sample. And I got it out and I read some of it. I was like, wow, I wrote this before ChatGPT. Felt so proud of myself. I'm like, I actually had to think about all of this all by myself
Right.
with my own brain.
My brain did that.
Yeah.
Ah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, wow, I do feel like these kids are missing out a bit if they're not, really taking the time to think deeply about something.
It's a slowing that has to
Yeah.
happen,
Hmm.
which is kind of the through line of this entire conversation.
Hmm.
It's a slowing, right?
Hmm.
We're actually slowing ourselves down
Yes.
so we can like do what we need, do what we need to do.
Right.
And yeah, it's hard to do. We
Yeah.
can go forward very fast and cover a lot of ground. It's really hard to be in the moment.
Yes.
And I say that knowing full well um, that uh, I just say that knowing full well I'm guilty of that as well as anybody else. I'm not, I struggle with that too.
Well, it's so hard when our society is pressures productivity. It's like, faster, smarter, move fast and break things. And
Yeah, get things down.
yeah, it doesn't reward like moving slow or reflection or, you know, moving
Well, if
slow.
it does, it doesn't acknowledge that that's what you had to do to get there. I
Yeah,
think you're rewarded for doing good art, but you're not really rewarded for what it takes to get there, to
yeah.
do the good art.
Hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
How's it going over there, everybody? Anybody wanting any help or want to show where you are?
No. Just kidding.
Fair enough. That's funny. Well, send it over if you're struggling, or you can just hold it up, or you don't have to send it across the thread. If you want to send it to me privately through WhatsApp, I will consider that a private. Anyway, you can do it privately if you're like just wanting a little bit of help. Let me know. I don't want to discourage you from sending stuff in for help. I will forward here the um, picture that Christina put in Tuesday's watercolor class. Because we're working with animals, and she suggested that we do this one. So perfect.
Oh,
I know.
I saw someone post that on LinkedIn and I just thought it was so funny. I don't know. Maybe it may be AI generated. It probably is.
That's what I think.
Would you guys like to try animals next? Would that be of interest in the next session? Yes? Or would you like to spend more time with landscapes? Maybe we move to more watery subjects. You guys tell me. What should our next session when we do one be? What do you want to learn in order? I'm kind of
I want
open.
the water.
You want to do, well, yeah, you're like totally near water. Any other votes?
Huh?
Any other votes? Water. Water, animals, cities, buildings.
I did like cars.
Cars are
I
like,
looked at
I
I looked
wouldn't,
at a lot of the old stuff we did, and the most difficult one, and the one I never ever got right, was the one with the cars on by the airport or whatever it was. With the,
cars are
you know,
super hard. They have
that was.
so
But at the
many
same
lanes
time,
change.
it's so nice when it works,
It is so nice when it works.
and when you can
I
sort of
find
learn
I
how
do
to
a lot
look
of
at
cars
it.
in my paintings, and I like find myself cursing them like 3/4 of the time when I'm doing them. I hate cars. I make myself do them because I love doing
Yeah,
cityscapes, and you can't really do cityscapes without cars. But oh my God, they're like, what? They're hard. They're my cars would be, I would put that later in the year. It's
yeah,
hard. They're the harder ones. Water is like water and landscapes are kind of the easier ones because you have a lot of flexibility in your mark making when things have less structure, like strong structure. Um,
yeah.
let me think about it. I'll send out a little poll on WhatsApp and y'all can tell me. Does anybody want to pop theirs up just to show it? What if I pulled it down like this? If I pulled this down for a minute. Do you want to just pop it up briefly, or if it's too wet, you can take a picture of it, send it wherever you're at. No judgment. Remember, I really actually love all your work. So I'm not gonna I like to see where you're at. Although I guess I see your point. Showing it might be influencing other people. Oh, you're right. I mean, forget it. Don't do it. I
Yeah.
guess I must realize, don't do it. Don't do it. We'll look at the end. Although, if you're having problems, send me privately on WhatsApp and I'd be happy to talk you through it. But yes, don't do it. Yeah, right. Don't send it out. Don't send it out. I don't know what I was thinking. Sorry, it's been a long week. I'm tired. I'm not thinking correctly. Let this be a surprise. That's what I want to see. And you've got an hour, so you've got plenty of time.
But Leia, you had a big week.
It was yeah, it was rough.
Birthday, art show,
That's right.
two art shows.
2 art shows in different states.
Wow.
But then one right after the other.
Wow.
Yeah. It was great though. This is
So
like one of those great things.
we can use any colors, right? This could be
Any
bright
colors, they
red.
just need to match value, right?
Okay.
So your lights here, this has
Yeah.
to be light compared to this, which is dark, right? This is dark, this is light, this is kind of medium.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can pick any colors you want. This works with any colors. Um, and at the very end, I will also send you what the other students did so you can kind of see. But yes, your only instruction is just follow the values and pick any color you want. And remember to make something lighter, right? You can water it down. You can, right, like do kind of light layers. You can even do your dark layers kind of watered down at first and then build them up, to be as dark as you need them to be. I'd say the trickiest part of this assignment is going to be right here. So pay attention to the transitions here. You've got this dark here, and then these little light bits, and then this medium, right? And then it kind of drifts here into light later up here. Nope. Nope. Oh, hey guys. I suppose we won't see Diana until next week because she's doing her big gala this weekend.
Yeah. Well,
Are you going, Christina?
yeah, I'm gonna go because
Because you're nominated for
yeah,
something.
it's nice to be nominated, and I actually it's so funny when I was living down here before, I was nominated a few times, but I never went. The only time I went one time because I was working at USC at the time and they paid for the table.
Right.
But my mom and I decided, you know what, let's do it. This, might be
Yeah.
my last hurrah. So
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
we'll see.
But like, and now you know Diana, right?
Yeah.
So you know the
Yeah.
person who's like organizing it. I always find once you meet the person who's putting it all together, it's like
Yeah.
kind of more fun to be involved.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
those are pretty impressive events she puts
Oh,
together.
I mean it's a fabulous event at the, Biltmore and everything, and she does a great job putting it all together. I mean, it's a really nice
Yes.
event. It's totally worth it. And my
And
mom,
Diana never
yeah,
like misses it. There
yeah.
is a year where I've seen pictures of her in an evening gown and a neck brace because she broke her neck.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
I know.
Wow.
Unbelievable. That woman is indestructible. She's I think the strongest person I know. Yeah, all
Wow.
beautifully dolled up, and the only way that you can tell there's something wrong is she has a brace here to keep her neck straight because she broke it. Like she fell off a ladder and broke it.
Oh my
And she
God.
still showed up to her event. I know. I mean, Annika knows her the best, I think. You guys are probably the closest, although I've now known Diana a long time. Nothing stops her. She's
Wow. No.
indestructible. I mean, she is absolutely and she doesn't get fussed by nearly anything.
Wow.
Nothing stops her. It's amazing. Yeah, if you look back on oh wait, I think her Facebook account got
Oh, her Facebook, yeah, her Facebook got like hacked or deleted
hacked or
or
something. Yeah.
locked out.
But it was an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing to go back and like you're seeing her in all these beautiful gowns, dressed up really beautifully. Um, and then you see her in this one beautiful white sequin dress, and I'm like, oh my God, like even that year,
Wow.
she went and she did all the work to make that happen. I know
Wow.
she's a force. She's a force of nature.
It seems so.
It
Wow.
seems so. Yeah, she's very impressive.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's a big thing to put on. Big event. So,
There was one year, I think it was 2021, that she had to do 3 events because she had missed, like, the event in 2020. So it was just this relentless, like, churn where she was constantly, because she has to sell tables and tickets and advertising and do the
right.
awards and get the guests and set up the program and do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, 3 times in a year instead of 2. And I
Yeah.
just remember watching her and going, holy, it's painful for me to watch you do this. I can't like imagine you actually having to do it. It's amazing.
Oh,
Anyway, she will be back and we'll hear about her wonderful victory next week.
think of it. Yeah. Well, my mom and I thought it'd be fun to go and dress up and yeah.
I love that. And
Something.
yes, Christina, that was a great story you wrote.
Oh, thank you.
It was a great story. I mean, yes, you should go. You should be like celebrated. I have judged those awards before, and I mean, I didn't judge that one, right? I didn't do any judging this for this event actually, but I usually do. But I gotta tell you, that would have probably been my top pick of
Oh,
whatever
thank you.
else was done. I could see that being, or me fighting, having to fight between that and maybe one other piece. I mean, the quality is always really good, but I mean, it's an excellent piece and so on point.
Thank you. It was such a fun and wacky piece to write. Like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's old-fashioned journalism where you just see something happen and you
Yeah. Yeah. And to the
and
point
you follow it.
of the Gen Zs, they want something real. Um,
Yeah.
and so they came up with this idea, let's put this on a flyer, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's just that's just great.
Be right back. My curiosity is burning. I want to see what everybody's doing. I don't show me. I just want you to know a little quietly over here. I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? What's happening?
That's what we're wondering too.
Mm, good. A plus response. Everything that is in here is something we've practiced a little bit. Mixing darks, working edges, light into dark, right? Having a kind of soft edge that sort of slowly changes value as you go back in space. Lots of we have reviewed in some way how to bring like kind of lights into and over the top of darks. We've talked about all of these things in class. So, but applying it on your own is an entirely different thing. Like, oh my God. Um, and in fact, I did this assignment for myself just to see how it would go. And it was interesting the process that I went through as I did it too. I wound up doing something I really liked, but in the middle of it, I was just like, oh my God, when is this going to like work? When is it going to turn? When is it going to become when is it going to like flip into something that I really want? And it kind of took till the end. So if you're having that feeling of like, I don't know about this, just keep pushing through and ask me if there's any technique you need help with or to be explained. I'm here to help. Also to torture you just a little bit, but just enough. Not too much. I'm here to help and yeah, also to challenge is probably the better way to think about that, but in a good
I
way.
think, I think torture was quite clear.
Just so that you know, I don't do anything to you I wouldn't do to myself.
Mm.
I feel you in all of that.
Mm.
This is the strange thing about the human brain. When we're good at something, deterioration happens. When we're struggling with something, it's like, oh my God. Um, that's when all the great stuff is happening, but it's hard to kind of hold the space for it. And that's why I'm like, really seriously, if you're like, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, um, feel free to ask me any questions. You can show it to me privately or whatever, text it over to me privately or whatever if you want me to look at it. But other than that, I have faith. Come on, come on. At the very end, I'll also send you the color version of this photograph just because it's very beautiful. Um, at the very end, after everybody's done. Oops, sorry. That's Tuvan throat singing. Ah, stop. What the hell? Stop. There we are. I may actually, I'm going to pause the